Trump hates Massie because the principled Kentuckian voted against budget-busting big, beautiful bill. Massie also pushed for the release of the Epstein files. And again, this is New American, but it began in 2020 when he was exposing the waste and the fraud of the COVID pandemic lies. And so when you look at Massie, Trump says he is disloyal. Disloyal. I guess, you can throw, you don't want to throw stones in a glass house, but you can throw stones if you're in the White House, I guess. The adulterer in chief calls somebody else disloyal. And I thought that was the most amazing thing. He attacks Thomas Massie for getting married after a year and a half after his wife died. It's like, yeah, what's the matter with this guy? Why did he wait until after his wife of 35 years died? That's not the way Trump does it, is it? And so now there are tertiary effects that are going to take place. Trump and his rants and his boasting, talking about Rand Paul and Boebert. They will, these are the thrashings of the wounded narcissist out there and his ego politics. The fury continued at 8:12 a.m. as they go through a timeline of all of Trump's furious tweets. He voted against almost everything that is good. That is me, right? Trump. And then at 10:47 a.m., Trump called Massie an obstructionist and a fool. Yeah, the Ed and Trump supporters don't get their news from Twitter. They get it from faux news, F-A-U-X. People like Laura Ingraham. Massie did vote against the big, beautiful bill, but not because it included tax cuts and funding for a border wall. No, because it would increase the national debt. Trump is a Democrat. He never talks about spending cuts. He may talk about tax cuts for some groups. He tells you that other people are going to pay the taxes, right? You won't pay the tariffs. It'll be corporations in other countries even that'll pay the tariffs. No, we got a lot of businesses, small businesses that are going out of business because of Trump's tariff tantrums. And he also tells you that taxes are your path to prosperity. Taxes will be paid by other people, and taxes will make you rich. This is standard Democrat fare, always has been. That's why I say Trump, more than anything, is a New York City Democrat. And he has prostituted himself to Israel and to the technocrat billionaires of Silicon Valley. Although there were some conservative wins in the budget reconciliation, says the New American. I'm sorry, not New American. This is Massie saying vote against it because the bill would increase the national debt. Although there were some conservative wins in the budget reconciliation, I voted no on the final passage because it will still significantly increase U.S. budget deficits in the near term. It will negatively impact all Americans through sustained inflation and high interest rates. Trump doesn't care about any of that. He made the amazing statement a week ago. I don't really care about Americans' finances. And then yesterday he comes in and he says, all that stuff that's happening with fuel and the embargo that I put on oil through my idiotic war and the results of that locking down the Strait of Hormuz, that's all peanuts. I don't care about that. He just doesn't care about it. I'm sure he doesn't care about, he doesn't fill up his limousines at the gas pump. He never has. And he's always got either a chauffeur to do it, and he's got the Secret Service to do it. He's always had big limousines, always had private airliners, not just a private jet. He has an entire, something you'd have 100, 200 people fly on. That's what he does. And now he's got the beast that taxpayers pay for. It doesn't get a certain number of miles per gallon. It gets gallons per mile. It's more like an Abram tank. And that's basically what it is, because the presidents of this country are so despised by everyone in the world, including Americans. They have to travel around in a tank with a small army to protect them because of the ill will that they create everywhere. So these guys, just like Trump, Ed Galrein has been told, don't debate. They know these guys can't handle a debate. They just give them some talking points, let them regurgitate those talking points. If they were actually to get into a debate, you would see just how empty they are. And they don't even understand what they're doing. As a matter of fact, you see that with Trump all the time. Yeah, as many people point out, the problem with lying is you don't have a good enough memory. Well, Trump's memory is at the point where he can't lie without contradicting himself in the same sentence. But if these guys were to get in and to start debating on some of these issues, like whether or not the big, beautiful bill was a good deal for the American taxpayer and for the American country, you would see just how shallow his understanding is. You'd see how shallow Trump's understanding is. So these guys who are put up as placeholders, as avatars for the billionaires who own them, they're told not to debate. Trump didn't want to have any debates. Biden didn't want to have any debates. Ed Galrine doesn't want to have any debates. And this is one of the reasons why MAGA is constantly surprised. Well, wait a minute. I thought Trump stood for this, and look, he's doing exactly the opposite. Yeah, it's because
Fox News will do a much better job of selling you as a candidate than you can.
That's right.
Through your lies on the podium.
That's right. You can get Laura Ingraham to sell this stuff and all the rest of the people on Fox News. As the Courier-Journal of Louisville reported, Galrine left the GOP after Trump was elected in 2016 to become an independent. Then he returned to the party in 2020 after Biden was inaugurated. Well, I would say after he was selected, right? And so, you look at that election that they're so upset about. That was as fair as any of these elections. They're all corrupt. None of them are honest. Marjorie Taylor Greene said there were only 4 of us Republicans that signed the discharge petition to force the vote to release the Epstein files. Trump has come after us one by one ever since. If that isn't a confession of guilt, it's as close as you will ever get from Donald Trump to confessing to what we all saw, that he was Epstein's best friend and party pal for over a decade. The president told Speaker Johnson not to allow the vote to happen, and he did his best. Remember, they take pretty much the entire month of August off every time anyway. And Johnson shut it down early to keep there from being a vote. And then he refused to open up and said, well, it's because we got to shut down. Well, that's never stopped them before. That doesn't have anything to do with their pay. They've always met, even if there was a shutdown. He didn't want to seat the Democrat who had gotten elected in a special election because that was one more vote to release the Epstein file. So Mike Johnson, at the behest of Trump, humiliated himself. I mean, you could tell this guy, go stand in the corner and pee in your pants in front of everybody, and Mike Johnson would do it. You do it out of fear, quite frankly. It was only when all members of Congress had to vote on the record, only then did Republicans finally find their intestinal fortitude to do the right thing and vote yes to release the files. Until then, they were absurdly obedient to the president, who was doing everything in his reign of terror, said Marjorie Taylor Greene, to hold them back. Yeah, it was absurd. It was futile, what Mike Johnson and Donald Trump did. And if ever there was a confession of guilt, that is the closest you'll ever get from Trump, his actual actions. And so some think that Massie, says the New American, became a top priority target for defeat by the Israel lobby last year when he told a podcaster, and that would be Tucker Carlson, that every GOP congressman has a babysitter from AIPAC. And that the lobby expects congressmen to write pro-Israel propaganda. I disagree with that. I think it was his principled opposition to the Iran war. Everybody already knew that all these congressmen have a babysitter. That wasn't anything new. But this war is what they want. Well, let's not forget that Israel, and especially Mossad, had a connection to Epstein and to Ghislaine Maxwell. It's a question of whether or not Trump will pardon her. It's not a question of whether or not he'll do it, but when he'll do it, okay? He pardoned Jonathan Pollard, the worst traitor and spy. Well, actually, he didn't pardon him. They paroled him, let him go back to Israel But still, the fact that he didn't have a problem with that because Miriam Adelson flew him back on her private plane, and Netanyahu is waiting at the foot of the steps to greet him. And Jonathan Pollard gets down on the ground and kisses the ground there in Israel. And so does Miriam Adelson right next to him. When you look at that. Yeah, he did it for Bibi. He did it for Miriam. Trump did. And when you look at this war issue, I really think that is the issue. It's amazing, really, when you stop and think about how much alike Netanyahu and Trump are. Both of them have a long list of corruption charges brought against them by their own people and their own government. And they both want war now. I mean, they have become mirror images of each other. Here's what Thomas Massie had to say about just before the voting yesterday.
One thing I saw on Fox, they were saying, oh my goodness, we're ready for war. We're about to restart this war. We were supposed to restart this war today, but we can't restart this war today. The war can't start today. They said we got to wait a day. And then it occurred to me, where was the Secretary of War yesterday? He was here. Listen. Wait. No. Look on the bright side.
That's what it is, folks.
No more war.
We don't want war.
No more war.
Israel demands that we go to war for their good, not for our good.
Knock that off. You're going to make me feel good about losing. What I wanted to do was give you all credit. When they saw the influencers here, they panicked. They sent the Secretary of War here, and you stopped the war for a day. All right. We know we don't want a war, and we know why young people and middle-aged people are against the next war. Because we'd be the ones fighting it. They're trying to bring back the draft. Screw that. We're not going to fight. We're not going to fight some other country's wars, are we? No. What else do we stand for? We don't want to send our money overseas. Okay, I'll go for that.
And the Fed. And don't just stop with the reserve.
I've got a bill to do that. I've also got a bill to end the in the Department of Education. Rand Paul says he wants to pass a law that you need one day to read 10 pages of every bill. I asked Rand, what are you going to do about my bill that's one sentence long to end the Department of Education? That'd be like 5 minutes to read that bill. By the way,
gotta pass the bill to find out what's in it.
Epstein Files Transparency Act was 2 pages. We're tired of meddling overseas. We can't afford it. Our empire will collapse if we keep sending our money to other countries. I never picked a fight with the country that's tried to take me out here because I've never voted for foreign aid to any country. We got to take care of America first. America first. America first. America first. America first. America first. By the way, you remember that organization that Klaus Schwab started called the World Economic Forum? They said you should eat bugs. Do you want to eat bugs? No. They said you'll own nothing and be happy about it. You want to do that? No. Well, guess what happened? Guess what happened to Klaus's CEO? He was in the Epstein files. He had to resign. We took out the CEO of the World Economic Forum with a 2-page bill.
It's amazing, isn't it? When we look at the bills and the way they operate this stuff, the GOP, especially under Mike Johnson, has adopted all of the levers of power that Nancy Pelosi corruptly put in place. She was the first one to drop a, several thousand-page bill one day before the vote, so that nobody had any time to read it. That's what Rand Paul is reacting to. They put these bills together that are not, they're 1,000 pages long, and then they drop them on the eve of the vote to make it even worse. They want to make sure that you don't know what's in it. And of course, that was when Nancy Pelosi famously said, well, we got to pass it to find out what's in it. And of course, she knew what was in it. And she was the devil's details are going to be put in by the bureaucracy, quite frankly. And that was really, I think, what she was talking about. But that's a strategy that has been adopted by the Republican speakers as well. Just like the insider trading of Nancy Pelosi has been adopted by Donald Trump. As I pointed out yesterday, when you got Josh Hawley saying, hey, we need to stop this insider trading, he writes a bill that includes the president and the vice president and his cabinet. Trump went after him with a vengeance. How dare you tell me I can't do insider trading? As I've said for the longest time, the Republicans have become the Democrats of my youth. The Democrats have become the totalitarian Marxists of my youth. The common man. They created Common Core to dumb down our children. They created Common Pass to track and control us. Their Commons Project to make sure the commoners own nothing. And the communist future. They see the common man as simple, unsophisticated, ordinary. But each of us has worth and dignity created in the image of God. That is what we have in common. That is what they want to take away. Their most powerful weapons are isolation, deception, intimidation. They desire to know everything about us while they hide everything from us. It's time to turn that around and expose what they want to hide. Please share the information and links you'll find at thedavidknightshow.com. Thank you for listening. Thank you for sharing. If you can't support us financially, please keep us in your prayers. thedavidknightshow.com.